cream cheese and dark chocolate, and we're going to turn it into something really, really fun. So let's get started. So into my food processor, I'm going to put in all of my Oreo cookies. Now the box that I'm using is 300 grams. Don't worry about the grams, I'm using 27 cookies. I'm going to start loading all of these into my food processor. So there we have it, 27 cookies. I'm going to get my lid on. And now I'm just going to start pulsing these until they turn into a nice crumb. Okay, that looks really good. And if you don't have a food processor, don't worry. You can take the cookies, put them into a large bag, and use a rolling pin and just roll over them until they're all really nicely broken down. I'll just show you what this looks like. So it's all broken down into really, really fine pieces. So that's step number one. Now we're going to switch over to a mixing bowl. For our next step, I've placed my cream cheese into a large bowl. This is 250 grams of cream cheese, about 9 ounces. We're going to mix in our Oreo cookie crumbs, but before I do that, I want to just get a little bit of air into our cream cheese. I'm going to grab a mixer. And I'm just going to start breaking this down. Now my cream cheese has been sitting out for a couple of hours. It's at room temperature. Just makes it a little bit easier. So bring your cream cheese out earlier than you actually need to start the recipe. Okay, that's good. Then we're going to grab our Oreo cookie crumbs and just dump them all in. There were a few stuck in the bottom. I want to make sure I got them all out. So as you can see, so far this is a very, very simple recipe. I'm going to grab my mixer now. Speed number 1. I'm just going to start slowly incorporating this. So I don't suggest that you use anything faster than speed 1. Otherwise it's going to fly out of your bowl. So just take your time and just mix until well combined. Okay, about a minute of mixing and that looks good. I'm just going to increase my mixer here just to get everything off. And that's perfect. For our next step, I have a tray with a little bit of parchment paper. If you don't have parchment, you can use a little silicone mat like I do underneath. I just put that there just to show you. So you have a couple of options. I'm going to go with the parchment paper. I have a little cookie scoop or ice cream scoop. And now I'm just going to start scooping up my batter. And I really want to make this compressed. So get it right up against the side and give it a really good squeeze. You can even take your thumb and just push it in there. Make sure that it's really compact. And then right onto your little sheet. Just like that. So really simple process. You can also make these into little balls if you wished. But this is a lot easier. Just get it right on there. Give it a little push. You just want to have these really condensed. And then right on. So I'm going to continue on doing these and I'll be back in a minute. And my last one. Just going to take the back of a spoon. And if you see any little pieces sticking out, just give them a little bit of a push. And if you don't want to use the back of a spoon, you can wash your hands really well with soap or put a little plastic glove on. I think that looks pretty good. So these have to chill for about 1 hour. I'm going to do that now and then we're going to come back for our final step where we're going to dip them in dark chocolate. So this is about an hour later and my little cookies, or Oreo truffles as I'm calling them today, have firmed up really well and they are ready to be dipped. So what I have over here is a dark chocolate. This is 72% cocoa. And whenever you have a really high quality chocolate, you can tell just by how liquid it is. It's very, very liquidy. I'll just show you. And it's really nice. So now I'm going to coat these, and then we're going to get them out onto our parchment paper. So you don't want to leave them in too long. Let's give it a little bit of a tap. And then right onto the parchment paper. I'm just going to use some tweezers to just slide it off. And there we have it. Oh, that looks good. And you can also see that because these little bites are cold, the chocolate is setting up very, very quickly. It's already setting. And this chocolate is tempered. You don't have to use chocolate that is tempered. If you don't, you're just going to take these, put them back in the fridge, and your chocolate will set really nicely in the fridge as well. So we'll do another one. Just get it on my little fork. Right in. Get my tweezers ready to go. Get a little tap. And then just gently slide it right off. There we have it. Perfect. So I guess what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in for one so that you can see it a little closer up. I'll just get my chocolate into view so you can see it. I'll just get our little fork underneath. So I get them in like that. Pull it out. And the one that I just did is already almost 100% solid as well. Just give it a little tap. Get my tweezers. Try not to move it as you drop it down because you don't want to have too much pooling around the edges. So that looks kind of nice like that, nice and clean. And look, just in the few seconds that I've talked, you can see how fast the chocolate is setting up. And that is because the cookie is cold, or our little Oreo truffle as I'm calling them today. Okay, let me zoom out. I'm going to do another one. I just want to show you a little addition that you can add to the top. I'm going to give that a little tap. And this is optional. I'll just get that nicely dripped. And then right onto our parchment. And I have a little bit of sea salt here. So you have to work quickly. So you want to dip one and then get that sea salt on right away before your chocolate sets. There we go. Not too much, you don't want it too salty, but there we have a nice little addition to our Oreo truffle. So I've got quite a few more to do. I'm going to do those and then I'll come back and we're going to just cut into one and I want to show you what they look like inside later on. So I've zoomed in quite a bit. Just to finish off my video, I want to cut into one and show you what these look like inside. But showing you doesn't even come close to what they taste like. You're going to take one bite of one of these and you're going to fall in love with them. And they're so, so easy to make as you saw me do it today. That nice little crunch from that dark chocolate. And look at this. Let me turn this around. Look at that. Amazing. If you want to give these a little bit of a holiday twist, instead of putting the sea salt on top, you could crush candy canes and drizzle some of those on the top. Another really, really nice alteration to this recipe is to add a little bit of mint extract. It goes extremely well with this recipe. I'll just cut into... Of course, I'm going to have to try another one of these. So, so good. I don't know how to best describe these. You get that nice crunch from the dark chocolate on the outside, that little bit of sea salt, and then inside it's just like a dream. It's super creamy. You taste the Oreo. and you taste that cream cheese, and both of those combined, it tastes like cheesecake. It is so, so good. So that's going to be it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. As usual, I'm going to put pictures of these, the final product, on my Facebook page, facebook.com/bakelikeapro. Also on Twitter, and also on my Pinterest page, which is pinterest.com/bakelikeapro. So that's it for today's really fast and fun video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Oh, that is too amazing for words. One cup of all-purpose flour, 3/4 of a cup of granulated sugar, 3/4 of a cup of milk, 1/4 cup of vegetable oil, 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder, 1 teaspoon of almond extract, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and our last ingredient, 1 egg. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. We're going to start off with our egg in a large bowl. To that I'm going to add in my oil. I'm going to grab my mixer. Get that going, and then I'm going to pour in all of my sugar. Then I can grab my milk and slowly get that in. Our little bit of salt. And then we will sift in all of our flour. So I've got my flour here and I've got my baking powder. I'm just going to combine both of these. And then grab a sieve. Get all of that in there. And just a little shake. Push it through. Perfect. We'll grab our mixer. Start mixing this in. And then I'm going to get my almond and get that right in there. And that's pure almond extract that I'm using. Oh, that smells really, really good. Once that's mixed, we are ready to fill our pan. For today's recipe, I'm using a disposable pan, but you can reuse this. Just wash it out well, and it's ready to go again. The pan I'm using today, 8 inches long by 3 3/4 inches wide, 2 3/8 tall. We'll grab our batter, and I want to pour most of this batter in first. And I do have this lined with a little piece of parchment paper. So I'm going to put almost all of it, but not all of it. It's a little bit too much. I'd say right there. So you want about 95% of that in there. And then we're going to grab our cocoa powder with our sieve. Get that in there. Grab the back of a spoon, push that through. We'll grab our mixer one more time. We just want to quickly mix all of this together. You don't want to use too much chocolate batter because it just changes the whole cake. You're going to get a very, very too chocolate cake if you use too much batter. So place most of your batter in there like that. Okay, that's pretty good. And now we're going to pour that into our cake. I'll grab my spatula one more time. So I'm just going to get all of this in. You can see that there's quite a bit here. So now I'm just going to slowly go along the entire length. Even this could be a little bit too much. You know, if you want very, very little chocolate streaks, then you're going to use even less than this. You'll never get a cake exactly the same each time. It's always a work of art. So it's always a surprise when you cut into it. There we go. I'm going to grab a fork, and then I'm just going to move it around whatever way you like to do it. There are no rules. You can see that's quite a bit of chocolate in there. So just move it, pull it up from the bottom. You don't want it completely mixed though. That's perfect, just like that. I'm going to get this onto a little cookie tray. And I'm going to pop this into my oven for about 30 to 35 minutes at 350 degrees Fahrenheit. So here we are again. I baked my cake for a total of 35 minutes in my 350 degree Fahrenheit oven. At this point it's been sitting out for about maybe 3 or 4 minutes. It's extremely hot, so I want to just let this cool down for about 10 minutes, and then I'm going to unmold it and I'll come back and I'll show you the final product. So this is about 10 minutes later. I do want to get my really nice cake out of this, because if you leave a cake too long in a container like this, what happens is moisture that is still in the cake because of the heat, it starts coming out to the edges and you can get a little bit of a wet edge. So you want to get your cake out, you know, about 10 minutes after. So I'm just going to make sure that I have a clean break here. So you want your cake to look nice after all of your hard work. I think that's good. And I'm going to grab the little pins that I always use. Parchment paper handles. And now I'm just going to lift this. And there we have it. Whew! Hot. I'll just give it a little spin. You can see a little bit was stuck in the end here, just a little piece. But overall, I'm very, very happy with this. It looks really nice. So at this point now, what we're going to do, I'm going to transfer it here, and I'm going to let this completely cool, and then we'll cut into it. So my cake has cooled right down now. This is about an hour later, and I can't wait any longer, so let's cut into it. And look at that. Nice little marbled pattern. We'll cut another slice. And every slice is different, so you never know what you're going to get, but there you can see, really, really nice. Of course, I'm going to have to try a little piece. Look at that. Look at how moist that is. Really nice. Oh, that's really, really good. So that was a really, really fast video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. That's it, and I'll see you next time. All-purpose flour, 4 eggs. I am using 4 large eggs in this recipe. And our last ingredient, 1.5 cups of milk. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. For today's recipe, I am going to be using a blender, but you can also use a bowl with an electric hand mixer. It works equally as well. I'm going to grab my eggs. So that's 4 eggs right into the blender. To that, all of our milk. And then all of our flour. And I'm just going to spoon that in because my bowl is slightly larger than my blender here. And I don't want any of it going over. So just nice and slowly, let's get all of that in. Perfect. At this point, you can also add a little bit of salt and pepper to the blender if you wish. Then I'll grab my mixer, we'll get it onto our base, and then I'm going to put the lid on so we don't have any splashes. And then I'm just going to start pulsing it using the red buttons here. Okay, so that's about a minute. And just look at it, and it looks good, so I'll just remove it from the base. At this point, we have two options. We can bake our popovers right away, or we can place our batter in the fridge for about an hour just for it to rest. And that's what I usually do. So I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put my lid back on, pop this in the fridge for about an hour, and then I'll come back. At this point, my batter has been in the fridge for about 45 minutes, and it's at this point where I wanna start oiling my pan. I'm going to be using vegetable oil to do this. I have it in a little squeeze bottle that makes it very, very easy. And I'm just going to add a little bit of oil just to the bottom. I don't want to overdo the oil. I just spray it in, and when I see it fully coating the bottom, I stop. So there's probably about a teaspoon of oil, not too much in each one. And I'll just tilt that up a little bit, where am I here? I'll just show you. I get it in there just so that it covers the bottom, and that's all you need. The magic to making these is making sure that this is very, very hot before you pour your batter in. If you pour your batter into a cold tin like this, like it is right now, it will not puff up properly. My oven right now is going at 425 degrees Fahrenheit. So now I have added all of the oil, and I'm going to pop this now into my oven, and I want to let this really, really get hot. I'm going to leave it in there for a good 10 minutes. So at this point, I've just brought my batter out of the fridge, and I just want to get it onto my stand, and I just want to give it a fast zip. Okay, that's good enough. I just wanted to mix all the ingredients once again. And now my pan is extremely hot. I'm going to grab it out of the oven, and I'm going to come back in 1 second. So this is extremely hot right now. I'm going to grab my batter. You can hear it sizzling as I pour it in. I'm going to go up about 3/4 of the way. And you don't want to take too much time doing this. Get it done as quickly as you can, and then right back into the oven. And I'm going to bake these for 20 minutes. I just want to use up all of my batter. And that's good. Make sure to put your oven mitt back on. This is extremely hot. And now right back into your oven. 20 minutes. I'm setting my timer for 20 minutes, and I'll be back, and I'm going to bring them right out. And one thing I wanted to mention is that during that 20 minutes of bake time, do not open the oven because they could deflate. So at this point, there's about a minute left on my kitchen timer, and I just want to open up the door and I want to show you what's inside here. Where are we? Look at this. Amazing. So I'm going to close the door, let it finish off, and I'll be back. All right, here we go. Look at that. Wow, that's what I call magic. I always get excited when I make Yorkshire pudding, or poppers as I'm calling them today in today's recipe, because we are using that special baking pan to make these. This pan, by the way, is made by a company called Chicago Metallic. They make really good quality baking ware. You can see the steam still coming off of them. Whoa, I can't wait to dig into one of these. So these were in my oven exactly 20 minutes. If you find in your oven that they haven't browned over enough or they don't look right, just leave them in for another 5 minutes. You'll be totally fine. And what I'm going to do now, just turn this. I want to get these out. I want to show you what they look like. Ooh, that's hot. Super light. Look at the nice holes. And these here are great, you know, with your dinner. You're going to want to pour some kind of gravy over these. I love these. I don't need any kind of meal with meat. I will just eat them like that. I love them. You can use these as dinner rolls. Oh, so nice. Look at that. Wow. So let me just turn these around. That looks good. You'll notice in today's recipe, we did not use any type of leavening agent. We did not use baking powder or baking soda. The real magic lies in the eggs. When you pour the batter into that extremely hot pan, it hits the oil and the sides of the pan, and that gives an explosion of heat to the eggs and the whole mixture, and it pushes it upward. As long as these stay in the oven long enough, they will actually build a structure and they'll hold their shape just like you see them here. You can kind of think of a hot air balloon. The hot air balloon gets filled with hot air, it rises, it blows up, it expands, and then as soon as that heat source is taken away, the balloon deflates. But we're talking about eggs here, and given enough heat and time, the eggs build a structure, and that's what holds the whole assembly together like you see. So the way the eggs work in this recipe is the same type of way that you'll see in a souffle or a sponge cake. So I'll just grab one. I'll show you how nice these are inside. Look at this. You got that nice little crunch on the outside. Look at this. Amazing. Of course I'm going to have to try a little piece. That is really good. One of my favorite foods. So you're probably wondering, do I have to have this with a dinner meal? No, you can make these. A lot of people will put butter and jam on them, and they're good that way as well. And yes, in case you're wondering, you can use this exact recipe in your cupcake tins as well. If I see a lot of interest in me making this exact recipe using cupcake tins, you may see that on my channel one of these days soon. So that's it for today's really fast video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you wish. If you wish to see written ingredients, you can check out my Facebook page at facebook.com/bakelikeapro. That's it for today, and I'll see you next time. Amazing. Two and a half cups of shredded sweetened coconut, half a cup of regular granulated white sugar, a half a teaspoon of pure almond extract, an eighth of a teaspoon of salt, and our last ingredient, 3 egg whites, and I used large eggs for this recipe. So that's it for the ingredients, so let's get started. For our first step, we're going to get all of our egg whites into our bowl. So that's 3 egg whites, and I weighed this out exactly 91 grams. To that, I'm going to add my 1/8 of a teaspoon of salt, and then I'm going to measure in half a teaspoon of pure almond extract, a half a cup of white granulated sugar, that's 115 grams. And then I just want to aerate this a little bit, so I just want to get my mixer going in here. And I just want to fluff this up a little bit. Just want to loosen up those egg whites. So not too much. Just want to get them frothy a little bit. There's not much to this recipe. It's super simple. So just like that, everything's nicely incorporated now. I'll turn this off. You can see how nice that is. And now we're ready to add our sweetened coconut. So this is 2.5 cups, exactly 300 grams. Just get all of that in. And then we just want to make sure that everything's coated really well. So you just want to mix all of this in. You could use your mixer as well, but I find this is relaxing. So the important thing here is to just make sure that all of that sweetened coconut is well mixed with our liquid mixture of the egg whites and the sugar and our almond. And I do have my oven already set to 300 degrees Fahrenheit. It's a slow oven. We're going to be basically partly baking these, but also drying them out. So it's a very low oven heat. Okay, that's good. So now we'll get these onto our pan. In today's recipe, I am using a silicone mat, but you can also use parchment paper if you wish. I'm just going to use a small cookie scoop. I'm just going to compact this a little bit and then right on to our tray. So this is not a cookie that's going to expand much, so you can place them a little closer together if you wish. And our last one. Perfect. And now I'm going to pop these into my 300 degree Fahrenheit oven. I'm going to bake these until they're golden brown on the top, and then I'll come back. So here we are again. I baked these for exactly 35 minutes in my 300 degree Fahrenheit oven. At this moment, these are extremely hot, so I'm just going to let them cool down. I'm going to remove them from my little silicone mat, and then we're going to zoom in on one and we're going to try it out. So this is about an hour later. My little coconut macaroons have completely cooled, and we have here a total of 20. So as promised, I'm going to zoom in on one and we're going to break into it. So hopefully the camera is picking up how nice these are. Really nice and golden brown. And look at the bottom. Nice and golden brown as well. And they smell amazing. So I'm just going to make sure I'm on camera here. I'm just going to break into one I want to show you. You can hear that nice gooey. But look at this. So it's crunchy on the outside, but still really moist on the inside. Let me just open this up. Look at this. Oh, that's really, really good. A nice burst of coconut flavor and that nice caramelized sugar on the outside. Really good. I'm going to have to go for another little piece. Really, really yummy. So that's it for this really fast and fun video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. And if you're on Facebook, you can check me out at facebook.com/bakelikeapro. I'm over there as well. Also on Pinterest at pinterest.com/bakelikeapro. And I will have some pictures of these macaroons on my Pinterest page as well as Facebook. And just before I go, one other option that you can do with these, which is very, very popular, is melt a little bit of chocolate, and then you can take the cookie and just dip it into the chocolate and then put it down on a piece of parchment paper or your silicone mat, let it firm up, and that adds a really nice extra little option to this type of cookie. But that's it for today, and I'll see you next time.
Very, very cold outside. We're going down to a low of minus 22 degrees Celsius tonight. And it is the second to last night for the Christmas lights. It's about minus 18 degrees right now. It's very, very cold outside. You can hear the crunch from my boots.
We're going to make some deep fried cauliflower, but we're going to go a really, really easy way, and we're going to use pancake batter. For this recipe, you're going to need some cauliflower. We're going to need some water. This is just room temperature water. A half a cup of pancake batter, that is equal to 95 grams. A half a teaspoon of cayenne pepper, that is 2 grams. 1 teaspoon of paprika, that is equal to 4 grams. And our last ingredient, a half a teaspoon of salt, and that is equal to 4 grams as well. So those are the ingredients, so let's get started. For our first step, I'll get that pancake batter right into our bowl. All of our salt. Our little bit of cayenne pepper. And our paprika. I'm going to grab a whisk. I'm just going to whisk all of this together. Now if I'm making this on my own and the camera is not rolling, I just pour the water in until it gets to the thickness that I like. But since I'm doing a video, we'll actually measure it out. So I'm going to start off a tablespoon, 2 tablespoons, 3, 4. Grab my whisk and start whisking that together. And you can see right away it's too thick. So we're at 4. There's 6. I'm going to add in some more. There's 7 and 8. I don't want to have my batter too thick, but I don't want it too thin either. So let's just keep mixing this, and then we'll check it out. So right now this is 8 tablespoons. I'm going to add a little bit more. I'll add in 1 more tablespoon. So that's a total of 9. And we're just going to mix that in. And the spices that I use, you can use anything that you want to add. But this makes a really, really nice batter. And you can use this with other things as well, not only just cauliflower. So I'm just going to let this sit for about 5 minutes, and then I'm going to come back. Okay, so this has been sitting about 5 minutes. I just wanted everything to get really well incorporated. And now I'm going to set up my deep fryer, and then we're going to come back. For today's video, I'm using vegetable oil, and something very important when you are deep frying cauliflower, you want to have your temperature of your oil at 375 degrees Fahrenheit. If you deep fry at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, it's going to take too long for the cauliflower batter to brown, and inside the cauliflower is going to start to get mushy and soft, and we don't want that. One other thing that I forgot to mention is that my cauliflower is 100% raw at this point. So we'll start off the process. I'm going to get a little bit of cauliflower in here into our really nice batter. So our oil, again, 375 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm going to get this ready. I'm going to get that one fully coated. Just give it a little tap, and then right into the oil. So doing it this way, it's not going to be mushy inside. You're going to have a little bit of a crunch, which is going to be perfect. So I'm just going to let these go, and I'll come back when they're golden brown. So I actually have a kitchen timer going behind me, and that there is 1 minute and about 30 seconds, so a minute and a half. And I'm just going to look at these, and they look nice. So at this point, I'm just going to bring these right out. I don't want them to become soft in the middle. I want to have a little bit of a crunch. And there we have it. So the temperature of my oil has dropped a little bit. So what I want to do is I want to get it back up to that 375. So I'm just going to wait a couple of seconds. I'll come back and we'll do batch number 2. Now that my oil has come back up to temperature, we'll get a few more of these in. Give them a nice coating. And then right into our oil. Be very careful when you do drop these in. You don't want to have any splattering. I'll set my timer. And here we go. And I'll come back when they're almost done. So there we have it, another minute and a half later. These look good. And we'll just get these out. That looks really good. So I've got a few more here. I'm going to finish those off and then I'll come back and we'll finish off the video. So these are ready as well. And if you don't want them as brown, just don't do them as long. Take them out about 20 seconds earlier and they'll be a little bit lighter in color. And there we have it. And that's really good. So you can see I've got a little bit of batter here. Could probably do maybe another 4 or 5. But for today's video, that's all I'm going to do. So let me just clean up and then we'll zoom in on our finished product. So I've cleaned up a little bit and I've also zoomed in so that you can see our deep fried mushrooms a little closer. I've just plated up what I want to take a picture of for my YouTube thumbnail. So that's what you'll see when you come to my channel. You'll see a picture, something like that. So let's just cut into one and see what it's like. Can you hear that? Listen to that crunch. Look at that. Whoa. And that, to me, is perfect inside. Really, really good. So by doing them at 375, we get a nice golden brown and a really nice outside crunch, but also the inside doesn't get too mushy, and that's what you want. You want to have a little bit of crunch on the cauliflower itself. I know I'm still zoomed out quite a bit, so I'll just zoom in right here just to show you another one, and we'll cut into another one really close up. So I've zoomed in quite a bit here. Let's just take one, and I'll just cut into it. Oh, look at that. Oh, really, really nice. A really nice crunch on that as well. And even if you don't like cauliflower, you've got to try these out. They're really, really good. You can actually fool people. They'll bite into one and they might not know it's cauliflower. That's how good these are. And just to finish up my recipe today, I did want to mention that I have 2 other ways that we can do this recipe. I have one that I can do completely from scratch, not using the pancake batter, but using all-purpose flour, and we'll go through the same kind of process. And my second variation is where I use an egg wash, and then we dip the cauliflower into either panko breadcrumbs or Italian breadcrumbs. And that will give us a really, really crunchy outside. But I do hope you try the easy way today. This is a really, really fun one. That's it for today's video. If you enjoyed it, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe if you wish. I really do appreciate that. That's it, and I'll see you next time.